Henry Cole is well known in Britain as a TV broadcaster, producer, and motorbike enthusiast with a reputation for risk-taking and an affinity for classic vehicles. He was a TV host for a long time. He gained fame hosting series that combined his passions for motorcycling, restoration, travel, and British engineering, such as the Motorbike Show, Find It, Fix It, Flog It, and World's Greatest Motorcycle Rides. Henry may now appear to be the epitome of prosperity, but he had a far from smooth journey to get here. With your help, we will explain what transpired to Henry Cole. The social Henry was born into a large, well-connected family in 1964 in Britain. He and his parents spent their childhood in a large Victorian rectory in Norfolk, England. The house has the archetypal rigid upper lip decorum. His mother was a calm and supportive person in his childhood, but his father, a former army major, was notoriously distant and harsh. British Prime Minister William Ewart Gladstone was Henry's grandfather, and he comes from a long line of politicians. Because of this, his background is much more intriguing. Henry was supposed to take a more traditional path due to his affluent background. He could have sought employment in the city after joining the army, but Uncle Redbeard was largely responsible for the change of course that occurred in his life. While Henry and his family were visiting his great-uncle in Liverpool, they were able to view his collection of vintage British bikes. Seeing Henry in the yard, he summoned him to his shed. There was a remarkable assortment of vintage bicycles indoors. He was profoundly affected by the otherworldly charm of these machines and the distinctive aroma of oil and leather. Henry, who was 12 years old at the time, was utterly enamored with those motorcycles the moment he laid eyes on them. He was completely captivated after that. Following that, Henry's fascination with bikes grew even stronger. On his grifter bike, he would pedal into town to purchase motorcycle publications, which he would gorge himself on. The rough and tumble world of bikers, with their long hair, filthy hands, and distinct excitement smell, drew him in, despite the fact that he came from a rich family, wore corduroy pants, and parted his hair on the side. He finally got behind the wheel of a 250cc Honda single-cylinder, borrowed from a friend's shed after a long time. He jumped at the chance to give it a go, despite his lack of experience. Without assistance, he had a hard time getting the bike going and then careened headfirst into a hedge. The start of his biking adventure was memorable, though challenging. Despite the setback, he continued riding motorcycles, and this began a love affair that would last a lifetime. After he got his bike fix, Henry considered a career in show industry to be his true calling. He began by enjoying the excitement of cinema and television, but soon drug use became an integral part of his routine. He struggled the hardest with substance abuse during the years of 19 to 24. He was unable to control his drug use at one point. He used overdrafts and the money from his tiny business to pay the £250 a day that it cost. During this terrible period, he spent about £7,000 annually on delivery riders to bring him goods since he was so lonely and isolated. There were monetary issues that he had to handle as well. His possessions were seized by the bank due to his failure to pay his mortgage. Matt and Luke Goss of the Pop Band Bros, who resided in the area, were the only individuals who visited Henry as his social network decreased. A portion of the media's focus was directed towards his issues. The suggestion that he attempt drugs and the infamous label Heroin Henry from one tabloid were both extremely trying times for him. However, no matter how bad things got, he could always count on the support of his family, particularly his parents. Resuming his career in television was a major step on his road to recovery since it allowed him to channel his desire for a better life into his work. In addition to the enormous personal costs associated with his addiction, he reportedly spent nearly £500,000 on therapy alone. Henry is delighted to share his story in the hopes that it will assist others, and he has been clean for almost 30 years. It took Henry a combination of perseverance, adaptability, and an entrepreneurial spirit to break into television. After going through a rough patch at work, it occurred. With 1995's Mad Dogs and Englishman, he made his film debut. The film, which featured Elizabeth Hurley, was critically panned and commercially unsuccessful. Although this setback nearly cost him his job, it ultimately served as a catalyst for personal growth. When Henry met a producer from Channel 5 by coincidence, he proposed the idea of a show called Stars and Automobiles, which would feature celebrities alongside classic automobiles. Henry was given the opportunity to create a Christmas show as a test by the CEO, who was unsure about him as the host. The episode's positive reception resulted in the series continuing for an additional 5 seasons. Henry laid the groundwork for his motorbike exhibitions with his early work in Stars and Cars. He had some success with auto exhibitions before pitching the concept for World's Greatest Motorcycle Rides, which followed him on legendary motorcycle adventures along his highways, including Route 66. On the show, he got to mix his two great loves, TV and motorcycles, a combination that had hitherto baffled him. Henry resolved to finally settle down once his life had gotten back on track. He met Jane not long after, and they were married. They are presently residing in the picturesque English Cotswolds with their beloved children, Charlie and Tom. Henry strives to keep his private life under wraps, disclosing little information about his family despite his fame. Despite her consistent support for Henry's endeavors, Jane is noticeably absent from several of his television appearances. It appears that the pair values their privacy. The addition of a dog named Jellybean completes their family. When Henry's kids are around, he loves to take them out on motorcycle rides and show them the outdoors. Despite the lack of family photos on social media, Henry's fans get that he doesn't want those who aren't interested in his family to be interested in them. When Henry smashed the global land speed record for a 750cc motorbike constructed before 1955 in the Bonneville Salt Flats in 2013, he became a household name. Riding a 1927 Bra Superior, Henry reached speeds of over 100 miles per hour. In the midst of a high-speed tank slapper, he experienced a whirlwind of emotions as he fought for control. It was an exhilarating and intense experience. He believes that any ride, no matter how long, can be an experience because his passion of riding and adventure came together in this record-breaking event. It is clear from Henry's journey to this objective that he is an accomplished rider who revels in the thrills and spills of motorcycling. Now, Henry is trying to promote bike culture, but he is more concerned with safety than excitement. In an effort to reduce motorcycle accident rates, the rider has lately been an integral part of a safety initiative in the counties of Devon and Cornwall. Part of Vision Zero Southwest's strategy, the commercial highlights the serious risks associated with motorcycling. The campaign video included him reading a letter to his mom written by a biker who had been in a crash in Cornwall. "This has always been a challenge for me, Mom, but now it's finally here. My deepest apologies. When I went down, I was a completely different person." The letter expresses the rider's regret for taking risks without proper safety equipment and demonstrates how the outcome could have been different had the rider complied. Henry was fully on board with the concept and emphasized the significance of raising awareness about the consequences of reckless bike riding. It is not surprising that Henry, with all he has accomplished, has an incredible net worth of about $2 million. His extensive career in television, which includes hosting roles on successful series, is the primary source of his fortune. Henry is the CEO of HCA Entertainment, and he makes a living by producing various shows that are syndicated both domestically and internationally. Gladstone Motorcycles, Henry's motorbike company, is well known for producing limited edition British bikes in addition to his TV work. As a way to honor his great-grandfather Gladstone, he began this effort. Even though Gladstone Motorcycles mainly caters to a select few, it boosts Cole's profile and the standing of his other ventures in the motorcycle industry. Henry's passions, not a desire for financial gain, drive his passion projects and commercial endeavors, particularly in the custom motorcycle industry. He maintains a reasonable level of roundedness through his investments in classic motorcycles and practical goods that demonstrate his appreciation for craftsmanship and heritage. Henry has also documented his life and passion for motorbikes in a number of books. 2 of these books are The Magic of Sheds and A Biker's Life. His travels are recounted in these works in an autobiographical fashion. He now has additional source of income thanks to the success of his business and the impact of his honest stories. Henry's life exemplifies strength since he transformed his own struggles into a story that motivates and inspires others.